Hey, I'm here with Taylor,
Taylor.
whom I met while we were in Amsterdam. He was a speaker at the Remax annual convention, a big event. And yeah, that's feeling. I fell in love with that gaze. It's, but yeah, I don't know if you sense that, but he has very intense gaze and these profound, and it's the depth of him because he
Okay.
was into real estate for years, making lots of money, achieved everything you can achieve externally, the money, probably the girls too, all that you can have, until he felt kind of empty and
Let's
void.
talk about the girls in this podcast.
and and that's when he started to move to philanthropy and created things, and then it had this startup and then bankrupt, and now he's here. An amazing
Now
journey.
he's here.
An amazing journey.
Now we're on a couch in a
And that's
hotel.
and amazed by the beauty of this soul. Today he was just he could have come alone, but he decided to put one of his friend partner in front when he was supposed to be in the front, and I was just impressed by that. So I wanted to for you to discover him
Thanks, bro. Thank you.
and ask him a couple of questions about his journey and what triggered that beautiful path you're on.
Um, you asked me a question this morning on WhatsApp,
Hmm.
and it was what was like one word that you like describe life as, and you gave some examples. You said, "Is life a fight? Is life a rainbow? Is life flow? That kind of thing." And I said, "Life is wow." Right? And part of wow for me is not only that things could change, but the continual exploration of myself, and you could generalize to say like our continual exploration of ourselves, excuse me, is one of the most fascinating parts of life to me. And I feel like, you know, going and doing real estate, and I did made a couple $1 million in my mid 20s. Ended up going bankrupt at 35.
Okay.
Isn't that interesting? Like 20, totally backwards. Like 25 was just crushing it, right? 35 was crushed. It was basically how it went. And we can look at those things singular, or separate. We can go, oh yeah, real estate was going really well, and bankrupt was really bad. And we kind of like, pinpoint these points in our lives as good or bad, when in reality it's just a constant flow. It's a constant evolution. Like realistically, if you went from like a meta stage or a meta viewpoint and said, where did you learn the most about yourself? Was it when you went bankrupt, or was it when you made $1 million? Chances are I either learned the same about myself, or I learned more in the bankruptcy about myself, right? So from a spiritual perspective, or let's say, or whatever, human evolution perspective, that bankruptcy was the best thing that could ever happen to me, right? Because I remember waking up.
We wish everyone a bankruptcy.
We wish everyone exactly what they need to expand, right? This continual beautiful expansion of life. I feel like we're part of an expanding universe. I'm not saying that the universe expands indefinitely. I believe that it is going to contract, and it expands and contracts. It's like, the breath of
Breathing.
God. And right now, it feels like it's an exhale. And so us as fragments, these microcosms of the universe, are expanding, coinciding with the expanding universe. And so I feel like it's in our, in my at least, instinct to expand. And I chose, before taking on this body, I'm guessing, it seems like at some point there was a choice of continual expansion at any cost. There was a choice of, well, okay, like, are you sure, like, you want to go through this shitty time? Because it's not going to be easy. And at some point my soul was like, fuck yeah, let's do that thing. Let's go deep there so that we can expand in that time. And so what triggered, I was going to say, you asked what triggered, this path, or what triggered getting involved in philanthropy and whatever. It's like, who knows? Like, where did the trigger means the beginning, right? It means like the thing, the catalyst, the start, the nucleus, right? The center, the seed. And in reality, who knows when it got triggered? Chances are it got triggered either before this lifetime, or from soul level, or from whatever it was. that led to my instinct being like, I want to be a firefighter. It was just my first career,
Okay.
right? I decided in a night I wanted to be a firefighter. I never even thought about it before. You know, and I was like, yeah, I feel like being a firefighter. Boom. Went and became a firefighter for 3.5 years. It was wonderful. That led to real estate. Real estate was the same thing. I never thought about doing real
Logically.
estate before. Yeah. But I read a book and I was like, oh, I bet I'm just going to take up real estate. And I decided in a night, ordered the course, got it, you know, and I said, made millions of dollars doing it. And then decided in a night, I'm like, this is what I want to do. I want to do a TED Talk and I wanted to be on philanthropy. And then that spiraled into raising $5 million for build 500 schools and libraries all over the world, you know? And then that also led to going completely bankrupt. It led, which also
Same
taught
path.
me, exact same path, exactly, which also taught me some of the most valuable lessons that I've ever learned in business. By going bankrupt, like bankruptcy is a gold mine for lessons. You know, one of the best pieces of advice that I got while going through it was mine this for all the gold that it has, because you'll learn so much. One of my investors in the company, who subsequently lost his money because he invested in the company, right, that went bankrupt. He told me, he says, you know, dust yourself off, you know, start something else, but learn as much as you can from this opportunity. So I started writing lists and lists of like what I learned from this. Who do I do business with? Who don't I do business with? When did I go against my gut? You know, what did that lead to? And so now at the age of 37, I always call it like the lesson that I had to learn thousands of times of going with my gut, right? Whether it be in a relationship with someone, whether it be taking on the right or wrong investor, whether it be expanding or scaling too fast or whatever it is, the decision, I can look at any quote unquote bad decision I made in that company and I know the feeling I had in my gut when I made it. And I thought, well, no, it just makes the most sense, even though everything was like, don't do it, right? So the company that we have now, it's very gut-based. It's very surrender-based.
Surrender. Okay.
It's completely surrender-based. It came actually from doing a traditional Temazcal, a traditional sweat lodge in central Mexico, and being like, all right, if I actually surrendered to what the universe wants me to do, what would I do? And it was like very clear. The people come to me all the time. They want TED Talks. How do I get a TED Talk? Because I've done 4. I started been helping people get TED Talks for since 2011, 8 years now. And I always find it very fun to do. I find it very easy to help people land TEDx Talks. And I thought, okay, if this is what the universe wants me to do, I'll do it. This is what it keeps putting in front of me. But I kept pushing it off because my ego is like, I'm the school guy. I'm the guy who builds schools all over the world. I'm the guy who builds houses all over the world. I had so much ego wrapped up in being the social do-gooder, right? That I thought getting people TED Talks would be less than that. Right? So I wouldn't do it, even though the universe is like, fucking do it, right? So I started doing it, and it's been the smoothest, it's been the most beautiful evolution of a company that I've ever experienced. The money's great. My clients are extremely happy. 100% of our clients have landed TEDx Talks. Like 100% of our clients have got exactly what they paid for. You know what I mean? Like that's.
I'm sure they had more than what they
and
paid
more
for.
than what they paid for, and that's because we love what we're doing. You've seen this team; they're freaking phenomenal. Like Jake.
Yeah.
Anyways, and that's going from surrender, which was so much learned in the quote unquote bad time of bankruptcy, of transformation, of rebirth. That really hard time, that dark night of the soul. You know what I mean? Like the real dark times. The abyss.
Like
yeah, man, it's fucking
like
abyss.
the hero's journey.
Yeah,
If you don't go through the abyss, you don't get the magical sword.
Exactly. What does that sword look like? I see it as like a banana lightsaber. I don't know.
And
Yeah.
I don't know if that resonates with you guys, but it resonates with me because I don't know how many times people have asked me how to land a TED Talk, and I've been pushing that away because I'm like, I feel like I want to do something else, but now that I'm surrendering into, okay, I'll help you do that.
Yeah.
And I love it. And I really love coaching people, doing the best delivery they can.
And who knows what that's going to lead to?
Yeah.
That's what's crazy about us as human beings, right? We'll look at something, again, pinpointable, but you're doing that. That doesn't seem like you're the highest and best good for you to do. That doesn't seem like it makes sense. But if our instinct is telling us to do that, that's what matters. You know what I mean? That's what really, really matters at the end of the day, because that's who knows what it's setting us up to do. Because I did real estate, which a lot of people would be like, oh, you sold real estate. That's not contributing a whole bunch to the world. But because I did real estate and did really well, that's what got me involved in philanthropy. That's what took me on my first trip to sub-Saharan Africa. I visited a couple different countries. That's what got me involved in finance. That's why 500 schools and libraries and water projects exist now, is because of doing real estate, which was because of doing firefighting, which was because, you know what I mean? So we're all going to look back at this. And the funniest thing is that during the journey, which I don't know how many times we need to hear it from someone who's on their deathbed, who's saying, enjoy the journey. It's not the final destination. Enjoy the journey. How many times do we need to hear that? I've heard that shit thousands of times, right? And we need to hear it apparently over and over and over again to get the fucking point that it's about the journey. It's not about the final destination. There's no final destination.
Is the journey painful now? Do you want to change the
right?
path?
Exactly. It's like, but we keep singling points out and being like, well, that's not what you should be doing. And we start, we can, I can judge where other people are at, being like, well, why are they a stockbroker? That's not contributing anything to society. Who freaking knows what this person's going to do in 2 years from now, right? Who knows what they're going to do in 3 years from now? Who knows what lessons they came here to learn? Like, who am I to judge the dude who's being a stockbroker? He's probably working off some karma, or he's needed, in his past life, he was very poor, and in this life, he's kind of balancing that out by making a bunch of money. Or maybe in his past life, he was freaking Jesus. And now he's going to be, it sounds like I'm like hating on stockbrokers, but you get my point.
They even contribute to making that microphone that allows us to share that message.
Yeah.
It's like, it's all one big swimming pool and we're just drops of that. So let's share the path together, and we have all our individual contributions.
Yeah, and imagine that energy that we put into judging where people are at.
Yeah.
Imagine the energy that we put into envying. Imagine the energy that we put into jealousy. Imagine spending that diving deeper in us. Imagine we took every experience where we feel envy or jealousy or rage or hatred or sadness or whatever we felt as a signpost, as a pointer to looking back at us. Imagine we took that envy of going and then pointed back and be like, wow, why do I feel like that right now? Oh, I want that life. That life would be a fuller expression of me. What if we took when we were jealous of the same thing? I want that. What if when we reacted to someone we were really triggered by, and we thought, strong reaction, my body's having a strong reaction to this, I'm super triggered, what is it? Oh, and chances are 9 times out of 10, I'm really similar to that person. And they've got something that I need to work on.
It's either something I reject from myself or something I reject from desiring, or is it something I desire that I don't want? Yeah. And it's just like, it's information. It's just that. It's just information, and that should guide us.
Exactly. It's like anyone who's watching this right now, who knows you, because they'll know you probably if they're watching this, the first thing that Sebastian said was, he said, look at Taylor's stare. It's very like, what did you say, very direct and stuff like that. Do you know anyone who has a more intense stare than this guy? Guaranteed the answer is no, right? That's because he recognizes something in me that he likes about him or appreciates about himself, right? And if you didn't have that, if you were a shitty
it's something I would desire having in myself.
Yeah, and if it was neither, you wouldn't notice. You would not even, it wouldn't even cross your mind that I like to have like good, genuine eye contact, right?
Yes.
But because you have it, you're like, I really appreciate that. Yeah. And it's the same. We want to like hold that to the positive, right? We want to label that, well, that's a positive thing, so I want to notice good things in other people and blah, blah, blah. But in reality, some of the negatives, those are even sometimes more powerful pointers, because they're pointing at something that we can clean.
Well, especially because they generate stronger emotions.
Yeah.
So that's, and I'm not for using anger as fuel, but it's a good igniter, let's say. Then you can convert that into enthusiasm and pointing it towards pleasure rather than away from pain. But there's fantastic pointers. At least they tell us what we want to get away from.
Exactly. Anger is a necessary emotion. Anger is a shell of sadness. This is why so many more men are angry than... If you took 100 men and 100 women, and you ask them, do you feel sadness more or do you feel anger more? The majority of men will say they feel anger more than sadness. The majority of men will say they feel anger more than sadness. The majority of the women will say they feel sadness more than anger. The reason for that is because women are more in touch with their emotions. They're more emotional beings, right? And so therefore they are in touch with the root emotion, which is sadness. Anger is a shell of sadness. If this is sadness, anger's over top. right? So for us men, we have to go through the anger to find what's the actual thing deep down.
It's
We're
the
fucking
armor.
sad. That's why if we're angry, we're actually sad. And if we know that and we react out of anger and we have the awareness to kind of go, oh, shit, I must be sad about something. What is it? And you know what I mean? You're the question asker of all time, right? And so if we're asking the right questions, then we can get the right answers. Not why am I angry? Because then the answer is because Sebastian pissed me off, or because the battery stopped working, or because my speech wasn't as good as I wanted it to be, or whatever it is. No. Why am I sad? Because anger is an indication of sadness. Why am I sad? Well, I'm sad because I feel like I let people down. Then the anger is like can dissolve because it's a byproduct of the sadness.
And even sadness, because as soon as you start observing your own emotions, it's for me, I talk often about fear like that. It's just a messenger. Anger, sadness, they're messengers, and they come with a letter. Just open the fucking letter, read the message, and move on. And
You know what I think is worth diving into when you say that? Read the letter and move on. That's going to show up differently for every person, right? How you deal with anger is going to show up different. For me, I'm quite quick to anger, right? If I'm walking down the street, and this could be primal stuff, this could be from being more skewed towards being an alpha male than towards not. If I'm walking down the street and a guy's like walking towards me, I feel my body going like stiffen up. And I feel that, and I don't want to feel like that, but it does. And so, I can anger quite quickly, right? And so what I do, I have bats. I have 2 yellow plastic bats, baseball bats.
Okay.
They're plastic. They're skinny for like wiffle balls. And I take it, and if I'm feeling angry at home, I go to my bed, and I think this guy Pete really pissed me off the other day. I was like, fucking Pete. And so I took the bat. I wasn't that mad at him, but I was very aware that I had anger in my body, and it needed to come out. It needed to be expressed. So I took the bat and I said, fucking Pete, fucking guy's always trying to get money out of me. He always calls, blah, 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 da, da, da. And I smashed the bed with it for literally like, I don't know, 30 seconds or something. And I stopped, and then I just burst out laughing because the anger had come out, right? Yeah. And the anger come out, and then because I'll skip the whole story of like what I was sad about and all that kind of stuff, but I was angry, so I got it out of my body. Then I got to move into the next place, the next emotion, right? Because I didn't dwell on it. And then sometimes we get angry for being angry, right? I shouldn't be angry at this. Or I'll go surfing, and I'll go under the water and just scream my head off. Ah! And it's so funny when I tell people that, they're like, oh, that's crazy. Like, you're a really angry person. And I go, how do you deal with anger? Do you ever get angry? And they're like, sometimes. And I'm like, okay, first of all, you're not in touch with your emotions. You're not willing to admit that you get angry or frustrated or sad or whatever it is. How do you deal with anger? This guy, buddy of mine, he goes, I meditate. And I'm like, oh God, the guru. I forgot, right? Then what you're sitting there, you're not physically getting it out of your body. You might be spiritually bypassing it, right? I don't know if you heard the term spiritual bypass of like, it's their own stuff and I'm just going to let it go. Da, 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 da. It's like, no, man, we feel that. We have to get it out. And the more permission we give ourselves to feel what we're actually feeling, whether it be anger, whether it be sadness, whether it be attraction to someone that we don't think that we should be attracted to, whether it be attracted to a certain way of being that isn't accepted by society, whether it be a relationship status that isn't accepted by our parents, whatever it is, the more we can give ourselves permission to feel exactly what we're feeling. And my own personal experience, it's freedom. It's true, like, oh my God, this is how I feel. And even saying it out loud by yourself, like, yep, I feel super frustrated right now. Sebastian, he wore that red shirt. I was going to wear that red shirt. He wore it. Now I'm really pissed, right? When in reality, most people will go, I shouldn't be mad at that. It's totally fine. And all the logical excuses to go, well, we both own the shirt. Makes sense. He's going to wear it. It's freaking, it's Wednesday and it's his day to wear the red shirt. But in reality, you're freaking mad. So it's like, I'm mad. I'm frustrated. This is how I feel. And like owning it, saying it out loud, like with the conversation we had last night of like saying it out loud, it's like, and dissolves.
It's like a air balloon, like it dissolves by getting out. And I think, and just because for the people that are also in the spiritual journey, I think what you're saying also with the spiritual bypassing is by not acknowledging it. Because I truly believe in that compassion and understanding, but it's not about ignoring what you feel. It's about learning not to feel it in the first place by being more compassionate, understanding the situation. But when you do feel it, acknowledge it.
Exactly. Or we look at these like idols. We look at, let's say, Jesus or Krishna or Buddha or something like that. And we look at them as if they're not human. When the reason that we know who they are is that they took human form. Maybe not Krishna, but here, you know what the thing that Jesus did every morning when he woke up? You want to know the thing he did every morning? He went and took a shit. He went, sat down and took a shit. So did the Buddha, because they're fucking human. And they ate food, and therefore they had to shit. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They all took shit, and they wiped their butts, and then they went throughout their day, right? But we look at this.
Letting it out.
Letting it out. But we look at these people that were human beings as these deities that had no faults, no nothing, blah, 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 blah. These were human beings. And they were having the human experience. We're having the human experience. And we want to live up to the quote unquote good stuff that we saw or that we've been told, that's been romanticized about these people. We only want the good. And like I was just saying on Daria's interview, Osho has a really good quote that says, "A tree's branches will never reach heaven unless its roots reach hell." A tree's branches cannot reach heaven unless the roots reach hell.
You have to be anchored.
You have to be anchored. Spirituality is not about like not feeling stuff and not reacting. In my someone I really look up to is Michael Singer. He wrote The Surrender Experiment, which is a phenomenal book. I think you'd love it. I've read it like 10 times. It's absolutely incredible. Spirituality isn't about not feeling these things. It's about acknowledging that you're feeling these things. You're having a human experience. I want as spiritual beings having this human experience. You probably heard that term, right? People say we're not human beings have a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings having a human experience at this moment. Part of being human is feeling anger. Part of feeling human is feeling jealousy and envy and obsession and passion and excitement and all of these things. I want to feel those things fully. Yeah. Right? I had this teacher.
Experiencing life. That's what I was asking. You were asking me what is life about experiencing life. That's what I meant. It's
exactly.
We're going through it. You can go back to becoming the Atman or whatever you want to call it, but at the same time you're here. We're here.
Enjoy that.
Enjoy the ride.
See, this woman, this ordained Zen Buddhist monk who I used to sit with and learn from. And I'm so grateful I got to do this as a woman. And this is in Western Canada, ordained Buddhist monk. We were talking, and she would give me these Zen koans. Have you heard of koan? It's like a question that a Zen master will ask their student, and it can't be answered with the intellect. All right, the intellect will want to answer. Like the one is like, what sound does a bell make? Okay, so what sound does a bell make?
I hear it.
Tell me, what sound does a bell make?
Boom.
No, a bell doesn't make dong. A bell makes bong. Like, the way that she said it's like, fully, you are the bell when you're making it. Does it make sense? Like bells don't like dong, like kind of like dingish. Anyways, and it's not like I got that answer right. She had to tell me. She's like, by the way, I'm not supposed to give people the answer. They're supposed to come up with them themselves. That's the whole point of it, but I'm going to tell you. Right? So she told me, which is nice. But the other thing she told me is that I said, what do you think about drinking? Because when I was working with her, I was in my mid-20s, and I really liked having some tequila every once in a while. And she says, oh my God, Taylor. She says, no one drinks like the monks. And I said, what? She says, no one drinks like the monks. The monks drink. When they drink, they drink. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, here's the difference. You'll go out and have a couple of drinks, and you'll be thinking about tomorrow. I should probably stop now because I got that thing tomorrow, and I'm going to have a headache. I might be a little bit hungover. She says, the monks are present. They're doing it fully. So when they drink, they fucking drink. I dropped the F-bomb in there myself. She didn't say that, but they drink. They're fully present, and they laugh, and they have fun, and they blah, 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 because they're fully present in that moment, right?
Yeah, the presence, consciousness. I was like sinning wisely. That was what I was saying yesterday. Okay, I'm just also conscious of time. I don't want to make it too long. One piece of wisdom, one thing that you would love to tell your younger self that is watching right now.
You know, my younger self, and still remnants of it now, really struggled with feeling enough. Really struggled with feeling enough. So I don't know if I would actually go back and tell him that he's enough, because it led to some really awesome things, you know? It led to fulfilling a bunch of fantasies, like making millions of dollars in my mid-20s. That came from not feeling enough. That came from proving myself to my dad. It didn't come from like, I just want to make money, boom, and I made millions of dollars. No, that came from a hurt, fearful child who wanted to prove himself mainly to his father, my dad, and to prove that I was enough. I didn't feel adequate in nearly any area of my life. I didn't feel adequate physically. I didn't feel adequate sexually. I didn't feel adequate economically. I didn't feel it financially. You know, I didn't feel adequate in educationally. If that's the word, educationally. Funny that I would mess up on the word educationally. But I felt inadequate in all of these different areas, and so I thought money would cure that, because it's the yardstick that the majority of our society measures itself against is money, right? It's like, you know, how much do you make? And that's how we kind of judge people a lot of the time, or it's very prevalent in our society to judge people like that. And I'm totally guilty of it myself, 100%. So I went out I wanted to cure all of the inadequacies. And so I went out to like really make it in business, you know? And it was because I did that, because it was literally the day that I realized that I was a millionaire. I was 26 and I did all the math and I was like, wow, my net worth is $1 million. If I sold the things that I own right now and counted the money that's in my bank, I would have $1 million. And I was like, wow, I'm a millionaire. That satisfied me for literally 24 hours. Because 24 hours later, and I'd been striving towards that goal for like 3 years, right? Wow. I want to be a millionaire. Once I'm a millionaire, then I'll be happy. Then I'll have it made. Then I'll be fulfilled. Then I'll be calm. Then I'll have peace of mind, all that kind of stuff. And then I'll feel adequate. I'll feel like I'm enough, right? Then I had it. 24 hours later, I was like, wait, I'm still like stuck in my business, and I can't travel when I want. I'm not really free. You know what? I probably need to make 10 million. That's what I need to make, 10 million. And I remember
not enough.
No,
not
exactly,
enough. Not
exactly.
enough.
Not enough being a reflection of me not thinking I'm enough. So that, anyways, I remember thinking right then, being like, oh shit, did I just work towards something for 3 years only to be happy with it for 24 hours and then set another goal? I was like, life has got to be about more than this, right?
And I think in there's a lot of wisdom.
Yeah, and
the irony of what you're saying is all this. So you're enough, but even if you believe so, you're not. Going on that journey, because that will teach you many great lessons.
The wisdom at the end of the day is whatever's driving you. You don't need to look into it too deep as whatever's driving. If it's your childhood, if it's whatever, if it's just like wanting to impact millions of people, who knows what it is that's really driving you. But whatever it is, do it. Do the thing that you feel really called to do. If you feel called to be a stockbroker and make $300 million, do that. Do it fully. Do it like the monks drink. Do it with every ounce of your being. Make it. At some point, once you make $300 million, you'll realize it's not that great, and you'll start giving back, and you'll start, you know, maybe leading a more peaceful, harmonious existence. But a lot of us, we need to accomplish things to kind of tick them off our own weird little bucket list that we have. So do it fully. Don't expect it to actually give you happiness, because it won't. Nothing external will. Nothing. Even giving. I went out there and I was like, I'm going to be the most impactful person ever, you know? And we raised $5 million. We built 500 schools and libraries and water projects. Guess what? It was never enough.
Never enough.
Why? Because I didn't think I was enough. So like that's where people are fooled sometimes, right? They're like, well, if I just get involved in giving and philanthropy, then that'll feel really good. Sure, it feels good for a bit of time, but it's not lasting. You have to go like, yes, as you have your outer mission, do it. And you have to be doing at least the same amount of energy, ideally more, inwardly. You know, where does that thing come from? Why do I not feel like enough? Oh yeah, my dad. Where did that come from for him? His dad.
Yeah.
Where did that come from him? His fucking dad.
Endless.
We're victims of victims, you know? Yeah. So it's not to blame my dad or his dad or whatever. It's from a long line of men that didn't feel like they were enough and did a lot of really shitty things to try to prove to ourselves they weren't enough. And part of my job at this moment, before I have kids, is to break that pattern. and be like, and it starts here. It doesn't start with me telling my son that he's enough. Does that make sense? It starts with me knowing that I'm enough, then telling my son and showing him that I know I'm enough, and therefore he knows that he's enough.
Thank you. I feel like we could go on, and we'll probably do that.
Let's go
another
to
time.
dinner.
Yes, let's go to dinner. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. It's half an hour today, and we'll see how that goes. But I'm really happy we had this time in this conversation, and there's a lot of wisdom in that. And I really want to share more and more of that conversation with the fantastic people I meet, because I should not keep that for myself. Like, look at that guy. I should not keep this guy for myself.
We're just a man love right now. Thanks
All right.
for watching.
Thanks for watching, and comment, share, and give me a recommendation of how I can improve that. This is me beginning this podcast-ish thing, getting rid of my perfectionism, doing that with a simple microphone, handheld interview. Fuck it, let's do it. This is about the content, not about the context.
Nice one.
Thank you very much. See you soon.